Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in today. This is Sarah Trushard, founder of Career Game Plan. Today I want to talk to you about how to stand out in your resume amongst all the other applicants applying for the jobs that you are trying to submit for. When it comes to your resume, there are a couple things that you need to ensure that you have to make it easier for the recruiter to know what it is that you've actually done in your past roles and how you can be beneficial for their hiring plans for the future. So when you are thinking about your resume and your experience, you want to have both your qualitative and your quantitative data. So your qualitative data is what I've done in like the story type of format. And the quantitative data is around how you achieved your results, right? So it's great to say, I was able to implement a program that exceeded expectations for the company. Great. Except you left out a key piece that helps you to show the recruiter what you did, how you did it, and what the actual results are. So you're more so looking for I was asked to implement XYZ program. As a result of the program, we generated X percent in revenue or X percent on a return on investment, which improved operational efficiencies year over year. That to the recruiter tells the whole story. It's not just a transaction, it's a transaction with all of the pieces behind it in more detail. Because let's be honest, right? Recruiters are not the hiring manager. The hiring manager is the person that can probably glean through your resume what you're trying to say if you're not providing both that qualitative and the quantitative data. But in the actuality, the first person to see your resume is the recruiter. And so that's the first step. How do you help the recruiter who may or may not understand all the intricacies of the job that you're applying for? How do you get through to them that you are the most capable person for the job? Because as a recruiter myself, I can tell you that unless the hiring manager gives you an A to Z checklist of every little thing that you need to check off the box, we're only as good as what the hiring manager gives the recruiter to understand about the role so they can make the best decision for hiring. So what better way to set yourself apart than to give that qualitative and the quantitative data and basically hand it to the recruiter on a silver platter? So how can you do that? Well, first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your resume has a professional summary. It's going to be towards the top of your resume, a couple sentences, no less than 2, no more than 5. And you want to make sure it's got a personal touch about your soft skill experience and some of your technical expertise blended in. Because again, remember, your technical expertise for any job that you apply for is absolutely abundantly important. And they also need to know that you're a human as well, and that you present the soft skills to be able to communicate, work with teams, have empathy, etc. If you can't convey that in your resume, it may fall a little short. You also need to make sure that you provide a pretty good and robust work history. Now, I'm not telling you anything that you don't need to know right now. However, there's a lot of AI components out in today's world. I love AI. I think it's great for efficiencies. It helps with people's writing when they're not able to craft something in a way that can tell the story they're trying to sell. However, that coupled with the ATS readers and things like that recruiters sometimes may use, you've got to make sure that you beat the keyword system, right? And so making sure that when you're talking about systems and programs that you've worked with, you're not saying, I've just worked with different software tools and programs. Absolutely, that is not going to help you. You're going to want to say, I've worked with, like in my past life, Articulate. I've worked with Adobe. I have worked with Python, R, whatever it is that you are working in and whatever kind of coding languages or whatever the role is that you're applying for, you need to ensure that you're calling out those specific programs and softwares. Otherwise, you're not going to be seen as favorable when you're looking for those particular keyword searches. You're also going to want to make sure that when you're looking at your resume, if there are acronyms that are very specific to the current industry you're working in and or acronyms about particular software, as an example, ATS, that's Applicant Tracking System. Well, to someone that's not in HR, ATS may mean something completely different. So you want to you can absolutely use your acronym, but you need to spell it out at least once first in the resume and then put the acronym in parentheses. So it is abundantly clear that ATS is applicant tracking system or LMS is learning management system. Otherwise, it may not be abundantly clear as to what it is that you have worked in the past. Okay. All right. So I've hit you with a lot so far. We got a couple more things that I want to make sure that you're looking at. And then in our next video, we will look at how to portray those quantitative data and how to demonstrate those impact and skills. But before I let you go, I also need you to start thinking about having someone else in your network read through your resume. It's so abundantly important. And here's why. You can have AI craft your resume. I think that's a very bad idea, in all honesty. While AI is wonderful, and maybe that's the way of the future long time from now, right now, AI writing your resume, to me, is a way for a recruiter or something to throw it into like a turnitin.com like we used to do in school for plagiarism to see, did this person have something carbon copy out their resume, or did they actually think about their own skills, put them down on paper, and they can actually talk to the skills that they have. So you need to be very careful how you use AI. If you cannot sit and read your resume and then articulate it in a manner to a friend or a peer or whomever, then there's something missing in your resume that's not that personal touch. So don't have a bot write your resume. Write your resume, and if you need help crafting certain language, throw the bullet point in that you wrote, throw it into Copilot or ChatGPT and say, help make this more clear. And then when it generates what it's supposed to, that absolutely may be what you're looking for, but it still came from your original words and it just was turned into something that was better articulated, right? And then share that with someone to have them read over. I am not saying that you need to pay someone to always review your resume. While there are great folks that do that, I do that as well, and I can help with editing your resume if that's ever something you want to do. It's not always necessary. In fact, having someone else read your resume and making them read it and say, would you hire me? If I was applying for this job, would you hire me based on the resume? Not anything else about you or what have you. If the person reads it and then reads the job description, reads your resume and says, hey, yeah, it looks like you'd be a good applicant, then you know you're on your way. So network and peer review is always a great way to start your resume. All right, I think that's enough for today. I think I hit you with a lot. We talked about the professional summary. We talked about the acronyms and making sure that we spelled them out. We also talked about how to stand out because you're in a big pool of candidates and when not to use AI. So in our next video, we're going to talk through how to highlight our technical skills and balancing that quantitative data along with our soft skills. So stay tuned for the next video. Drop in the comments if you want to hear more about resumes. And as always, you can visit my website, careergameplancoach.com, and check out any of the services that I provide. See you later.